And look, go ahead, y'all. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the overwhelming favorite to win MVP at a minus 4,000 at ESPN Sportsbook. And Nikola Jokic has the second shortest odds at plus 1,200. This would be the 8th time the top two finishers would meet in the same postseason, with the MVP winning 5 of the previous 7 instances. Considering they split the season series, Swagoo, is OKC in danger versus the Denver Nuggets?
Stephen A., I think they are. Look, OKC is the favorite, right? But we got to lean into some history with the Nuggets. We've seen them do it. We know how big Nikola Jokic can be, not only as a scorer, but a facilitator. And Russell Westbrook, like, I know we all kind of enamored. We don't know if that's going to continue, but Russ hit some three-pointers. Russ was active defensively, those breakaway steals. It's going to be a complete team effort to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I know that Shai has been phenomenal, which I think he's going to win the MVP. But let's not forget about Nikola Jokic and how he can control a tempo of a game. I know this is a young, starving team. OKC has been the favorite all season long, the best team in the NBA. I don't want to just summarily dismiss the Denver Nuggets coming into this series like they don't have Jamal, like they don't have Nikola Jokic, like we didn't see them light up the shot clock, light up the scoreboard as well. This team is very formidable. They've been here before, and they arguably have the best player in the NBA over a span of a few years, still coming into this building, into this series with an opportunity to go win a championship. So OKC the favorite, but I don't want to be dismissive of what the Denver Nuggets is going to walk into this arena with.
Go ahead, Perk.
I will. I'll be dismissive. OKC and 6. OKC and 6. OKC and 6. Hey, Swagoo, SA, hear me out on this, man. When you talk about what those young dogs will do to you defensively, like, I get it. Jamal Murray, he had his moments. Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown even had his moments in that series against the Clippers. But they ain't seen perimeter defense like we like we're going to witness with this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And it's from top to bottom. It's no drop-off. Leading with SGA, to Luke Dort, to Jalen Williams, to Isaiah Joe, to Alex Caruso. That's how deep they are. Think about this for a second. Alex Caruso, in one of those games in Memphis, I believe it was game 3 maybe, in Memphis, when they had that comeback, he was the player of the game. Solely on what he did and how he guarded Jaren Jackson Jr., deflections, loose balls. They have so many options. They're so versatile. And then you talk about the chemistry with Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. Look, I'm never going to disrespect Jokic. Jokic is going to get his numbers. But if I'm the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I've been sitting back and if I'm watching that series, I'm watching the way Big Zubac played against Jokic. I've never seen someone guard him individually on that level like I did. And I think Isaiah Hartenstein has the capability to do the same thing. You're never going to stop Jokic, right? He's still going to walk out the game with a 21, 25-point triple-double. But canceling out everybody else, OKC has the personnel to do that.
I completely agree with you, Big Perk, on that. That's where I'm at with this series, Swagoo. I see OKC winning it in 6. I think that Denver has gone through a lot of changes. Obviously, Mike Malone is no longer there as the coach. You're looking at their absence of depth. We've been applauding Russell Westbrook, who's been absolutely great for them. The Energizer Bunny never cheats you with effort and heart, always there. He's a Hall of Famer in that regard alone, as far as I'm concerned. But then you got to look at what Oklahoma City brings to the table, the acquisition of Hartenstein and obviously Caruso in the offseason. Pairing that front line, Hartenstein with Chet Holmgren, who can ball, by the way, and we need to give him a lot of love, which Perk has never hesitated to do. Then I've talked about Jalen Williams and how he needs to really, really be that dude, because SGA was balling last year in the postseason when they lost to Dallas. He just didn't have the requisite help that he needed. This year, he's led the NBA, averaging, 32.7 points per game. Look at this stat right here. here in terms of his shooting splits this season. 52% from the field, 50% from mid-range, which was 4th in the NBA, 37.5% from three-point range, 90% from the free throw line. And this is the dude that has the ball in his hands most of the time for OKC. And then in every statistical category that matters defensively, they've been leading the league. I just think it's a bit too much for Denver, and I think that Denver could definitely win a couple of games, but OKC should win this series in 6 games, Swagoo. I'll give you the last word on this subject.
I understand what y'all saying, but the 6 games throw me for a loop because you don't think the Nuggets can steal one and push this to a 7-game series? Like, that's the only, I understand what you're saying, but that's the validity that I think Nikola Jokic is that good, where they can find a way in a close game late in one of these games where he can figure it out. And two, we don't talk about this enough. And I understand that we named everybody on OKC team's name. The size in which Aaron Gordon plays with in these playoffs got to matter. He is going to be a factor in this series, whether that's on the glass, whether that's being around the rim. And I know we mentioned Hardenstein and we mentioned Chet. And I know Chet is playing well, a 7-footer that can, but the physicality of Aaron Gordon, I think, is going to matter as well. And he's been playing some phenomenal minutes for the Denver Nuggets in these playoff series. I just think we're enamored with OKC, and we know why. Perk, you mentioned it. Defensively, a team that is hell on wheels at running people off the three-point line and creating. I think the Denver Nuggets around that basket with Nikola facilitating can give them some problems in some critical moments in games, which in turn we may see this thing go 7.
And see, look, Swag, let me tell you this, though. That's a great point about Aaron Gordon, right? I think physically, no one on the Clippers could really match him. Yeah, right? Could really match him. But they have a linebacker in OKC that can match his physicality, right? You're talking about Luke Dort, right? Like, you put him on there, and even Chet at times. Like, they just have so many options. I'm not saying it's not, like, 6 games is still giving Denver some respect.
2 games.
We're not saying they're going to get swept. We're not saying it's a gentleman's sweep. But then let me remind you again, as a person that played in Oklahoma City, we know that's one of the best home courts in the NBA. It gets 100%. Loud. And this young squad down the stretch, when it's a possession-by-possession game, they thrive off the energy of that arena.
And let's not forget, when they lost to Dallas last year, no, Dallas didn't have Anthony Davis at that time, but they did have Gafford and Lively. And so you had some bigs that they had to deal with. They might have learned lessons from that coming into this series. Now, that ain't Jokic, make no mistake about it. I understand that. But you didn't have Hartenstein either. And we see what the Knicks have looked like defensively without him. Mm-hmm. And we see what OKC has looked like with him. So we can't forget that. Got to move on. Many believe.
Đây, móc vào. Đấy, móc luân phiên từng mũi một. Tiếp nha mọi người. Mũi tiếp theo. Đấy, móc luân phiên từng mũi này nhá. Nối tiếp cái màu vàng vào cái màu xanh. Bây giờ sẽ móc tiếp vào. Rồi móc tiếp xuống. Mũi nữa này. Tiếp tục. Cứ móc như này cho đến hết cái chuỗi này nhá. Mình móc tiếp vào nha. Rồi mũi tiếp theo. Tiếp tục móc. Đấy, móc như này là được. Cứ lần lượt từng mũi cho đến hết. Đấy, mình móc được những cái mũi đơn như thế này nhá, móc tiếp xuống nhá. Rồi móc xuống nữa này. Mũi tiếp theo. Tiếp tục móc. Mũi nữa này. Đấy, cứ luân phiên như này là được. Còn một xíu nữa là sẽ xong rồi. Mình móc tiếp nhé. Rồi mũi tiếp theo. Mũi nữa này.